Try to imagine you could shrink the sun down to the size of a basketball. At that time, Earth was probably no larger than a sesame seed. But what would happen if the sun were smaller than the Earth? If one day the sun, the largest star and the colossal fireball in our solar system, if it were to become infinitely small, smaller than even the Earth, would this planet still orbit the sun? What would our solar system look like? In fact, the sun is so massive that it accounts for 99% of the total mass of the entire solar system. And we would need 1.3 million Earths to fill the volume of the sun. From Earth, the sun appears very small because it is as far as 150 million kilometers away from us. If the sun were smaller than the Earth, our planet would become an uninhabitable place. And the sun may no longer be considered a star. In the vast universe, the size of celestial bodies is an extremely important factor, and the distance between them is of no less significance. Earth is at just the right distance from the sun to avoid being frozen like Mars. It is also at a sufficient distance to avoid being terribly scorched like Venus. We are fortunate to live in the habitable zone around the sun. This is equivalent to the size of our Earth. The size of the sun and its distance from Earth are precisely the conditions that allowed life to evolve on our planet. So, what would happen if the sun were smaller than our Earth? The mass of a star determines its temperature and color. Stars with larger sizes typically have higher temperatures and their light appears blue. Stars with smaller sizes are usually colder and emit red light. The sun is a white star, neither as large as the giant supergiants nor as small as the red dwarfs. Can you imagine that, as the sun shrinks in size, it will evolve into a red dwarf with a smaller habitable zone? By definition, a star, whether a supergiant or a red dwarf, must. It's just a matter of when nuclear fusion will occur in its core. So, how small can stars actually get? Currently, the number of red dwarf stars that have been measured is still very limited. But the smallest star ever discovered has a mass 10 times that of Earth. That level is approaching the theoretical minimum size required for a star to sustain the reaction. If a celestial body's mass is less than 10 times that of Earth, it cannot be considered a star, but merely a cold, dark stellar corpse. The scientific name of this star is EBLMJO 55557 AB. That is the smallest star ever discovered in the universe. And this star is only slightly larger than Saturn, 600 light-years from Earth. EBLMZO 55557 AB is a star in a binary star system. As it moves along its orbit around a larger star, despite its rather modest size compared to other stars, EBLMZO 55557 AB still possesses sufficient mass to trigger nuclear fusion in its core. The sun converts hydrogen into helium. This ultra-small star has a luminosity approximately 2,000 to 3,000 times that of the sun. Scientists have discovered this star as the planet passes in front of the larger host star it orbits. This star is named EBLMJO 55557 AB. According to estimates, the mass of the star EBLMJO 55557A flat is approximately equal to that of the star Chapet 1. Discovered earlier this year, but with a size 30% smaller. Scientists have discovered that stars can be incredibly small in size. If the star EBLMJO 55557A flat had formed with a mass just slightly smaller, the hydrogen fusion reaction in the core cannot be sustained, and this star will evolve into a brown dwarf. Let's get back to the main content of the video. If for any reason the sun were to shrink and become smaller than the Earth, the shrunken sun would not have sufficient mass to generate a reaction. And then it will ignite, burning out completely. Our solar system will lose its central star. The sun is the gravitational force that keeps the planets in the system moving in their correct orbits. All planets, including Earth, will eventually drift into space in search of a new anchoring object. Life on Earth will not be able to meet a favorable end. Try another assumption. This time, imagine that the Earth is larger than the sun, while the size of the sun remains unchanged. Earth is the third planet from the sun in our solar system, occupying the third position among the 8 planets orbiting this star. Earth is the largest planet in the group of terrestrial planets in the solar system, which includes Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. And compared to the gas giants in the solar system, our Earth is truly minuscule. If the Earth were larger than the sun, what would happen? For this to happen, Earth's mass would have to be at least 333,000 times greater than it is now. A planet of that size would generate enough heat and pressure at its core to become a star on its own. Of course, life cannot exist on this fiery star, but an interesting fact remains. Our solar system will not have just one, but will have two suns. It will become a binary star system, where two stars orbit each other and planets orbit around both stars. No matter how the situation unfolds, life on Earth will eventually perish. However, life could still evolve on other planets, or even on moons themselves. Approximately 1/3 of known star systems are binary or multiple star systems. Some of these planets have habitable zones, where life could exist and develop sustainably. What would happen if Earth suddenly doubled in size? That is truly an incredibly interesting question. Given the current high population density, many people wish that the Earth were larger. But if the Earth were to actually double in size, what would the consequences be? Assuming the Earth's density remains unchanged, only its radius is doubled. This also means the planet's mass will increase eightfold. Along with that, the Earth's gravitational force also doubles. As a result, most plant species would die off very quickly. All animals the size of a dog or larger cannot run or jump, otherwise their leg bones would break. The large predators will no longer be able to run fast enough to chase down their prey. If Earth were twice its current size, the planet itself would rotate 32 times slower. Instead of lasting only 24 hours as it does now, a day on Earth would then be longer than a month. Accordingly, the temperature difference between the illuminated side and the side in darkness of this planet is extremely large. These hurricanes possess terrifying destructive power, capable of leveling all architectural structures. If the volume of a gas is halved, its pressure will double. The human brain and those of other animals will require a greater supply of blood. However, this is actually an advantage for birds, as it allows them to fly much more easily than they currently can. Specifically, the process of plate tectonics would be the most devastating phenomenon to occur if Earth continued to expand. As the